We've seen a lot of Hotel Mario memes, even though the game itself is still horrible as it seems. But where are those creative, well-made mashups, which all of us can rely? Lucky there's a mashup guy. He's been making covers, he's a 𝕮𝔬𝔫 lover. There'll be lots of things that'll make us laugh and cry. He's a mash-up guy.
With everything that's changed since 2021, there have been some things that remain the same.
I still love 𝕮𝔬𝔫. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story is still my favorite Mario and Luigi game of all time.
And Batman and Robin is fucking horrible. I love Batman, easily everyone's favorite superhero of all time, myself included. I love Batman 1989, I love Batman Returns, I love the 1966 Batman film, and I also love the Lego Batman movie, and especially the Dark Knight trilogy. But then we get some really weak ones like Batman vs. Superman, Batman Forever, and the worst of the bunch, Batman and Robin!
When I first watched Batman and Robin, I wasn't expecting this film to suck so badly. And what do you know? It does. I only had chortles at how dumb these characters look and act, but everywhere else, as I'm really against this movie, I have fury!
Now, maybe you would think this movie is good, or it's a guilty pleasure. And it's very possible to think that this movie is so bad that it's good. If you like this movie, then great. I respect your opinion.
Me? I absolutely despise this film, and I cannot find a movie that's worse than this.
Join me as I begin to yell and rage at why Batman and Robin is a cinematic, god-awful, hot garbage disaster.
Now, if you guys don't know, Batman and Robin is the fourth and thankfully final film of the Warner Brothers Batman films. This is directed by Joel Schumacher, who also directed Batman Forever 2 years before this film, and Tim Burton only directed the first two films. This could have worked. It could have got great potential. But this has none. You wanna know why? Because not only this is my most hated film ever, but it's also my hated Batman film, my hated superhero film, my most hated sequel ever, my hated film of the 90s, and my hated film of 1997. Now, as we dive further, the story of this train wreck is where Batman and Robin attempt to stop Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy from taking over the world, while at the same time struggling to keep their partnership together. This could have worked! What could possibly go wrong? Now, as we go to the beginning, I defy you to tell me what's great about this scene. There's a lot of things wrong with this beginning act. It's not even funny. Look at the costumes. They look like absolute shit. Batman's costume is a recolor from Batman Forever, while Robin is a red Nightwing with a cape. Also, bat nipples. Bat nipples? Okay, Joel Schumacher, what the fuck? There's bat nipples, bat crotch shots, and bat arses. This is completely unacceptable and very unnecessary. You don't have to show them in this fucking movie!
I want a car. Chicks dig the car.
And I'll get to you later on, dickhead! Anyways, Batman and Robin are on their way to fight Mr. Freeze and listen to Batman's iconic
I'm Batman.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
I'm sorry, he looks like he's reading from the script! Michael Keaton and Christian Bale are 10,000 times better than George Clooney. So yeah, we get a lame game of tug-of-war, followed by another game of ice hockey between Batman, Robin, and Mr. Freeze's goons with ice skates. Ice skates! Am I watching Batman or am I watching something else? Then we get some unfunny comedy like Mr. Freeze's ice punch, which we will cover later on, or Batman saying,
You break it, you buy it.
then we see Joel Screwmaker shoehorn in 2 more antagonists to make the story more entertaining. But this doesn't work. Why? Because there's not enough screen time to explain the lore of these 3 antagonists. 1 is good enough, I guess, but 2 or 3 just makes things worse. Mr. Freeze wants to freeze the world. Poison Ivy wants plants to roam the world. Bane? He's just there to follow Poison Ivy around. Batman is bland, boring, and useless, as well as Robin, who's getting his ass kicked and being a simp for Poison Ivy. Robin, you fucking suck. And as for Barbara Gordon, I mean Barbara Wilson, she is Alfred's niece, and this is the one thing they got wrong. Okay, how on earth did you fuck it up? Her last name is Gordon. She's the daughter of Commissioner Gordon. You're really getting it wrong now. This is the prime example of taking away good source material. Then, for no reason, she hacks into Batman's device without his permission and becomes Batgirl. Yeah, this comes completely out of nowhere. This movie contains subplots, but I can't even tell what's going on. Like Alfred dying, or Barbara part of a secret club. Also, these subplots have no reason to be there other than to make the film longer. Then there's this shit.
I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow. I'm Mr. Icicle. I'm Mr. 10 Below. Friends call me Snow Miser. Whatever I touch turns to snow in my clutch.
Come on, sing! Louder, come on, sing! Come on! Yes, come on, louder!
Why is Mr. Freeze wearing slippers? Oh, and the stupidness continues when Batman and Robin are betting on Poison Ivy. And this is where the simping begins.
Why not send Junior home early? I've got some wild oats to sow. On the other hand, youth does have its advantages.
Am I watching Batman and Robin, or am I watching 50 Shades of Poison Ivy? Let's not forget the infamous scene where Batman legit pulls out a Bat credit card! A Bat credit card? Are you shitting me? I know Batman is rich and all, but is this dumb or what? Oh, and the action scenes are no better. They are piss poor. Look at this. It seems like everything and everyone is wearing an invisible propeller to jump at extreme heights. Seriously, I thought Gotham is meant to be dark and serious. Batman 1989 and Batman Returns did a very good job at making it dark and serious as possible. And while Batman Forever was a lot more lighthearted and bright, at least it had some dark moments. But in this film, on the other hand, it's way too colourful and campy, and it looks more like a video game. Then later on we cut to Arkham Asylum, where we are greeted by all 3 shitheads and more weirdness happens again. So, Batman and Robin fight Bane, Poison Ivy being a bitch, decided to pull the plug, and Mr. Freeze's wife dies. She outright lies to Mr. Freeze's face to think Batman did it, which is not true. And in Mr. Freeze's rage, he decides to take his anger out on the entire world.
Yes. If I must suffer, humanity will suffer with me. I shall repay them for sentencing me to a life without the warmth of human comfort. I will blanket the city in endless winter. First, Gotham. And then, the world!
Okay, that is bad writing right there. So after more filler, Barbara shows up as Batgirl. Batman and Robin bicker again because Robin thinks Poison Ivy actually loves him. Oh, and then there's the climax with more abysmal dialogue. And rather than saving the world from being frozen, they waste even more time to get new suits. Oh, did I forget to mention that there's a technical oddity in the film where Robin emerges from the water, but there's a reverse clip after that where he goes back under. And to top it all off, the story ends on a cliffhanger where Batman, Robin, and Batgirl are running to the screen, hoping there'll be another movie. Ha! Like that's ever gonna happen. Also, this doesn't make any sense, because I thought Robin would quit by then, and what's Batgirl doing here? She has no motivation in this film.
It's actually quite a rare thing to have a cast that both overact and underwhelm in their performances.
But it's not the ones that fuck it up that are the problem, oh no. It's the lazy, tired performances that drag out the film. Starting with Batman. Out of all the great actors you could have chosen, why would you pick George Clooney? His Bruce Wayne is painfully boring, lacking in charisma, which is incredible since he's played by George fucking Clooney. And as for Batman, and his Batman is cheesy and childish. Putting aside his poor material, George Clooney doesn't feel like he's actually trying, and looks like he didn't want to be there at all. He even admitted that he really hated playing Batman. Years after starring in this film, he refuses to talk to people about how awful he felt playing Batman, and most people don't blame him for being unhappy about it. Oh, then there's Chris O'Donnell as Robin. Robin is a whiny bastard and a shit for 87% of the movie. And for the 13%, he's either helpless or following Barbara around for no reason. Throughout the movie, Robin whines, yells, and pouts his way through key scenes, which, rather than creating any lasting tension, instead makes the character annoying and unlikable. For a movie that attempts to play with the dynamic between Caped Crusader and his sidekick, it mostly just makes viewers wish that this was a solo Batman movie. Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. She serves absolutely no purpose to the film, and she's utterly useless. Next! You take one of the most intelligent and most formidable Batman villains who broke Batman's back and turn him into a big, brainless, grunting moron who is all brawn and no brains. Barely able to form words, he's a big idiot. He repeats words like Bane, exit, bombs. He is supposed to be a match for Batman, intellectually and physically, but this mute wrestler-looking imposter is not. He looks like a giant toad with a bondage mask. And again, there is no point to this character, and there's no point to him at all. Oh, then we got Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. Her take on the superpowered, plant-controlling seductress is very silly, and her attempts at sexual innuendo were just embarrassing. Anybody got any weed killer? Many fans feel that Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy is way too over the top and is often awkwardly sexual. Guys, we're watching Batman and Robin, not Batman XXX. I get it. I know. Poison Ivy is known to be a seductress in the comics and animated series, but this representation is too goofy to be taken seriously. Everything from the cheesy lines to the god-awful costumes, and of course, Uma Thurman's cringeworthy performance. If you want to watch a better Uma Thurman film, go watch Pulp Fiction and the 2 Kill Bill films.
Oh, I saved the best for last. Or should I say, the worst for last. The worst movie villain I've ever seen is Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
That's right, the Terminator himself. Unlike the sympathetic villain with a tragic backstory from the comics. Yes, including Batman the Animated Series as well. This version of Mr. Freeze is a total joke. Look at his head. He gave himself a shave, painted himself blue, and wore blue contact lenses. Oh, and the worst part about him? His motherfucking ice puns!
Tonight's forecast. A freeze is coming. Allow me to break the ice. You are not sending me to the cooler. Freeze well. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Stay cool, bird boy. Let's kick some ice.
Show some mercy.
I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy. All right, everyone. Chill. It's a cold town. Cool party. Can you be cold, Batman? Chilled to perfection. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Winter has come at last. Freeze. Freeze. Ice. Freeze. Icy. Winter fiber. Frozen. Icy. Freeze. Winter ice. Ice. Freeze. Winter. Winter. Freeze. Cold. Frosty.
He says not 5, not 10, not even 15, but 20, over 20 ice puns! Combine that with abysmal acting and putrid ice puns they makes that aren't funny, you got yourself one of the worst villains ever! If you want the best presentation of Mr. Freeze, check out the iconic Batman the Animated Series episode, Heart of Ice, because he's way better in that.
Niall, if you are watching this, I would rather revive my plush series than watch Batman and Robin again! But for now, this movie made me mad to no end.
And finally, this film looks like a big advertisement to sell merchandise. I mean, you look at this film's incarnation of the Batmobile. If it ever looked like a stupid toy to you because it was made to be a toy and they actually designed literally everything in this movie to be action figures and toy vehicles before the movie went into production. Alright, final verdict on this atrocity. Batman and Robin is the true cinematic disaster, a bigger cinematic disaster than Shrek the Third, that consists of really awful voice acting, terrible dialogue, unengaged action, and is an abomination to Batman fans and superhero movie fans everywhere. The only reason you're gonna like it really is because this movie can make a great comedy, if not taken literally, as well as roasting the movie itself, with some laughably bad moments. Overall, this movie gets a 1 out of 10. Really awful film. I don't recommend it unless you like this movie and laugh at some dumb moments here and there. But other than that, fuck this movie!
Alright, I'm gonna calm down before I can lose my temper even more. Also, heads up, Super Mario characters Good to Evil will be coming to Super Origami Kingdom. I'm gonna be playing more Super Mario Galaxy to see Rosalina. This is 𝔬𝔭 𝔬𝔭 𝔬𝔫, signing off. Ciao!